Hey folks, welcome to another exciting edition of This Ain't No Game. This week's movie is Doom, which is based on the classic id Software first-person shooter, Doom. It takes place on Mars. The BFG is in play. You've got space marines. You've got scary monsters. There are more kind of specific little winks and nods that are made for fans of the series. You'll hear the Doom kind of door opening noise, which is pretty recognizable if you know to look for it. There's a character who plays a pretty significant role in the movie named Dr. Carmack. Though arguably the biggest reference, the biggest thing for fans, well, at least it was designed for fans, is the first-person sequence in Doom, where the movie literally takes on the perspective of Doom, and then for about 5 minutes, you just see kind of a corridor crawl with like gun in frame and everything. Let's actually take a look at a little section of this sequence, just to give you an idea of how ridiculous this looks in the context of a movie. As you can see, the monster designs in Doom the movie are taken pretty much directly from Doom 3. It's almost like they just took those polygonal models and then scaled them up for, cinematic purposes, and there you go, Doom monsters. Probably the biggest divergence that Doom takes from the series is the nature of the monsters. Now, in Doom, they open up a portal to hell, and so those monsters are from hell. They are hell monsters, That's how John Romero rolls, all right? He's into the devil. But for some reason, the movie thought that this was too ridiculous, so instead you have these space marines that have to go out to Mars because there's some disturbance at this research facility, and they find out through the help of this lady scientist who happens to be the sister of the main character, Reaper, that there's been experiments with Martian corpses that had modified DNA, and then they've taken that DNA and put it into humans, and then if you're evil, basically, that modified Doom juice turns you into a crazy monster, and then you become a Pinky. When the movie isn't doing things like that, it's basically Aliens. You've got your space marines running around dark corridors, shining flashlights and stuff, freaking out, and then getting picked off one by one by kind of brown, greasy monsters. Now, kind of the ironic thing about all of the alien DNA stuff is that, okay, I get for the purposes of a movie that opening a portal to hell and having hell demons, fall out is maybe a little bit ridiculous, and having this sort of, at least, pseudo-scientific point of reference for, why people are turning to monsters, maybe is more palpable. But the end results are just as ridiculous either way. So it's why did you go through all this trouble to change the source material when you would still have crazy monsters running around Mars, and you could have just said, we opened a portal to hell. Oops.
There are genetic markers for psychotic and violent behavior. It could be a specific neurotransmitter it's picking up on. A ganglion, latching onto numbers in the DNA code linked...
Linked to what? Evil?
10% of the human genome is still unmapped. Some say it's the genetic blueprint for the soul. Maybe C-24 is what destroyed the population.
So yeah, evil DNA. How is that any less absurd and ridiculous than just saying we opened a portal to hell or another dimension, whatever, oops, monsters.
It's hell, it always was.
Now, kind of a curious thing about Doom is the casting. Right front square center on the DVD box art, you've got The Rock. And remember, this is back when he was still just The Rock. He had not graduated yet to Dwayne The Rock Johnson or just Dwayne Johnson. But he's not actually the main character. He plays the part of Sarge, which, if you've played Doom 3, you kind of know that character's fate, and that pretty much plays out in Doom, the movie. But in the end confrontation between Reaper and Sarge, there are some pretty conspicuous wrestling moves thrown in, and the whole fight kind of turns into a wire-work-infused version of a wrestling match. So, there's actually a fair amount of stuff in Doom the movie that I think fans will appreciate. There are all those little references to BFG. There's a character named Pinky who you can kind of guess what ends up happening with him.
Oh, there's something behind me, isn't there?
But ultimately, the problem with Doom the movie is that it just feels like a second-rate Aliens knockoff, It's got the same basic structures, Space Marines go to planet, get picked off one by one. But the problem is that you don't really care about any of the characters. There's no drama, there's no tension to any of the jump scares. So, whenever someone gets picked off, you're just kind of like, I don't care. And, that's kind of generally the problem with Doom as a movie, is that you're never really given a good reason to care. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of This Ain't No Game. As always, I'm Ryan Oh, God, no. No.
And who's not?
No!